Hi guys. Okay. Um, mic check, mic check. Okay. Um, okay. Looks like we're good. Can I see this thing floating here? How do I actually get this to pop out? Okay. Huh. Anyway, never mind that. Yeah, you're welcome to our seventh hangout. Um, number seven. Yeah, I was actually quite skeptical of even streaming in the first place, and now we have our seventh stream. Yeah, you're welcome once again. Um, yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear the noise outside, but um, our major election is tomorrow, over here in Ghana, so it's quite noisy. So sorry about that if you can hear it. I don't know if you actually can, but if you can, that's the reason. Um, yeah, so let's just hop into this. A lot happened this week. Um, Actually, I think last week, once PHP 8.4 release, I think, was that last week or it was this week? Release date. Um, November. Oh wait, so that was like 2 weeks ago. Anyway, um, was that 2 weeks ago? I thought it was just last week. Oh, that was PHP 8.4.1. Okay, yeah, that was probably it. Um, yeah, so we kind of have been adding PHP 8.4 support. I mean, already supports it. It's just you have some errors and stuff like warnings, not errors, because your application will still work fine. Um, yeah, one Mikkel, once again, I hope I got the name right. Added fixed up a lot of those issues. I also patched up a few of them, and yeah, I've released a bunch of modules that are not supported. I think HTTP was throwing a bunch of errors, FS, and I think the logger. I don't really remember. But yeah, now, okay, I think Leaf is the last one left. Um, oh, okay. So I should be after this release, which I'm doing right now, which will be Leaf 3.9. Funny, I actually thought releasing like creating a new release every week was too much, but it's become such a normal thing for me. Um, it's so normal now; it's not even funny anymore. Um, Yeah, I think I have to figure out a way to pop this out. Unfortunately, I don't have my second device with me, so I can't really um, monitor this. Never mind, never mind. I guess I'll just be checking in once a while. Okay. Um, what do I even name this release? Yeah, so I have this list of release names for Leaf, and I actually have no idea where it even is right now. Yeah. Uh, how do you even search in? Okay, there we go. Um, yeah, this might be kind of weird, but this is how I track which names I've used, which ones I haven't used. This is only for Leaf, by the way. I don't really go through this much trouble for the other modules. We haven't already done this. Okay, and then some kind of flower. What does a dahlia even look like? Maybe this looks like an orchid kind of flower. Um, anyway, let's just go with this. Okay. So what happened in this release besides PHP 8.4 support? Um, okay. So we have a bunch. We added a bunch of fixes. Let's see. The first one was middleware support for API resource. Um, so um, let me just open this up. It would be much easier than trying to explain it. Okay. Um, so I think a couple of weeks ago we added support for resource routes, so you could use route parameters with resource routes basically. But then this wasn't done in API resources. So that's what this whole release is about. So this is what this that's about. And then um the next one was this um disadvantage of having too many tabs open. Okay. Um resource, okay, I think that's a resource one. Um there was this one too, which was basically we tried to um, support older browsers. I think this was done long ago, probably 2019, 2020. But yeah, it's no longer really so important to do that. So resource routes have kind of changed, but then the old methods are here and they still work. They'll be removed later, but since there are probably people still using them, we're going to keep them as long as possible. But yeah, eventually they'll be removed. Just not now, because we don't want to break anything right now. Um, Yeah, so resource routes have been fixed to be much more of a resource. And then API resources now have the route parameter stuff. So you can pass in an array, add your middleware, and all of that. And then one fixed up the PHP 8.4 issues, and I think deprecates up push. So funny, I actually talked about this not long ago, and now we're deprecating it. So the HTTP module has response redirect, which is a much better way of redirecting than up push. Because up push, it's pretty much the same thing, but then currently some features have been added to redirect that this doesn't have. So um, yeah, we are keeping it because it still works, but then it's much better to use response redirect. So that's what this is here for. So if you're using it anywhere in your code, please change it. I think I actually made a tutorial about this just a few days ago, and then I used outpush. So I probably have to update that tutorial to use response redirect. Yeah, so it's just a much better way of handling redirects and all of that stuff. Um, okay, I think this was our last release. So everything here is going to be this week's release. Okay, no, no chats yet. Um, okay. So version 3.9, what's today's date? Set, December. Does anyone else struggle keeping dates in their head? Because this can't be just a me thing. Like I really, really struggle keeping dates in my head. So I always have to like check up here. Uh, Crazy. Okay. We have, what did we do? We added a bunch of things. Did we add anything new? Let's see, add method. Okay, so this one, add this affix. Technically, this affix, but can go under added. Okay. Um, and now I've lost my tab. Okay. So added routes parameter support for API resource. I wonder if anyone actually uses the API resource function. Um, like to create resource routes for APIs. Because I always just go with the actual resource route, not the API resource. So yeah, I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering if anyone actually uses it. Okay. So that was this one. Next is, what do I even name this? Touch it up. Yeah. So fix. routes. What's that? Resource route to match documentation. You know that thing where you actually finish writing your code and now you can't think of a good commit message. That's exactly what is going on here right now. Okay. Fix. Okay, so this also a fix. So this is like a fix PHP 8.4 warnings by one. There we go. Okay, so there's no a pre-release, there's a latest release. Am I missing anything? Have to check the version number just to make sure there's nothing. Okay. So I think that's it. We're good to go. So Lee version 3.9 is done. Yeah, that's that's it for Willie. It's not showing here. Did I actually miss something? Okay, no, we're good. We're good. Um, yeah, so that's Lee version 3.9. Um, yeah. So for what I actually did this week, once again, it was a lot of bug fixes. Not exactly bug fixes, just bug fixes, usability updates, merging PRs, documentation. Actually, speaking of documentation, I have to publish documentation. So I actually made lots of changes to Leaf MVC. So that's part of what I'm going to talk about. But they required some documentation updates. So okay, it looks like I've published everything. So um let me just push that to production and we'll be good to go. When was this? 2 days ago. When did I last update the documentation? 19 hours ago. Okay, so we have to open PR, staging, merge staging. Okay, so this should deploy real quick and we'll have all of the new updates. Actually, I think there's a little bit more I have to do. I didn't document the changes to HTTP, so I have to do that. Ah, 100th PR. That's pretty cool. Okay, let me close this up. Okay. Um, so yeah, as I was mentioning, for the stuff I did this week, mostly bug fixes, documentation updates, because there were actually a lot of documentation updates. Um, and then a few things I missed in the documentation that should have been there. Um, basically stuff like that. So yeah, this week was documentation heavy for some reason. Um, HTTP, we had a bunch of fixes on HTTP. Um, so yeah, Rome added router arguments, so you can pass in. I think the PR, the PR will be a much better place to look at. Was it PR? Yeah, it was. Okay. Yeah. So instead of, oh, by the way, you actually don't need to do routes like this. You could use the brackets just like that before. But now, with Rome's PR, you can also pass in parameters. So if it's a route that has parameters, like a named route with parameters, you can just do this. So, thanks Rome for this one. Let's see, what else did we add in here? We had a bunch of, okay, so there was this thing about route paths. There was an issue about it from Patrick. Um, not this one. Which one was it? Why is everything so slow? Network is kind of slow. Huh, maybe because of the stream. Anyway, so yeah, we had an issue from Patrick. Um, and that was fixed. That was fixed in this one. So basically, we had I don't know if I should call them like rogue paths, like they weren't formatted correctly and a bunch of other things like that. So all of that has been fixed. I don't know if there was any other thing. This is just an alias for, so yeah, you can, for echo. That was also not documented before, but it has been documented now. External URLs. So redirect actually passes your URLs before it does any URL stuff. So yeah, it was messing up external redirects, like redirecting from your application to another application. But that's also been fixed. So that was pretty much it for Leaf HTTP. Yeah, just these fixes, just these ones. Let's see documentation. Let me see if this is actually done. Um, deploying. Oh, I actually merged the PR. Hmm, okay. Um, so this is from Netlify. If you don't already know, I use Netlify for pretty much everything Leaf, which is not PHP. So yeah, I guess our deploy is done. Okay, cool. So Leaf, we've already seen the updates made to Leaf, to HTTP. Auth had a few updates, which have also been documented. So last week I talked about the new model with Auth, and yes, I know we are all yeah, there was, I forgot there was actually one thing we're waiting for with Auth, but yeah, that's still not done. So this is week 2 or week 3 of not having it done. Um but anyway, we had a new thing, which was the model. Um but then using the model was kind of annoying. Do I have any way I can show this? Okay, let me just open up something in Leaf MVC. I think it's pretty easy to describe. Um, so these were some of the tests I was doing with the route path stuff. But anyway, the authentication thing, you had something like auth user, and then you could use the model to get related data, so maybe transactions, to get data from the transactions table. Please. Okay, so this will automatically add the user ID and all of that, right? So you can, with because of the new model, you actually had to call get before you could do your leave DB stuff, which was very it was confusing. It was a confusing syntax. So this particular um thing here allows you to just use leave DB the same way it was before the model was added. So I think this is just much cleaner. Yeah, it's just a much cleaner way of doing things. So you can still use the models create. Wait, is this actually documented? I think it is. I'll have to confirm that, but I think it's actually documented. So yeah, you can still use your create and all of those stuff. And then still use leave DB. So it kind of like merges the model together with um leave DB stuff. So you don't have to call get before you use leave DB. So, it's just a little fix, but it's a much cleaner syntax. So that was what you go for leave auth, and then yeah, pretty much. So they are related. Yeah, and I renamed get to, so before you had to kind of do like get before you could leave DB and all of that. So I renamed that get to table just to clear any what do you even call those? That's the right word. Okay. So that's Blackthorn version 3.2, also released today. Actually it's right here, 1 hour ago. Okay. Um yeah, so that's for leaf auth. Unfortunately, we don't yet have our permissions. Um, yeah, hopefully we can get those soon. Yeah, I know I've been pushing it for like a week for quite a while now, but it should be in pretty soon. Okay, so yeah, now we get to um my favorite one I worked on all week, which was Leaf MVC. So if you missed it, I had this article here for Leaf MVC about how um, our version of MVC was complicated. So it's not like MVC itself is complex, but Leaf MVC's implementation is kind of complex. So it was based on Ruby on Rails and Laravel. We kind of like took what we thought were the best parts of both of them, but then we all know, like we all know Laravel's file structure. What's the repo? I think this is it. Yeah. So we all pretty much know that. And then Leaf kind of like followed suit with Leaf and VC. So it was like pretty much not as much as Laravel's, but you still had like a lot of files. And then inside your app folder, you had like a lot more. But it looks like I've removed some. So before you had like your commands, your helpers, and all of those, like all listed here. Um, Maybe I should go for an earlier version just to show this, or a version before the commit. Anyway, it's pretty much the same thing. Okay. All right. I think the file structure changed in version 2. Yeah, but then you still pretty much had like all of these folders before. So if you create a new Leap MVC installation today, you would probably see something like this, just with like lowercase um files and stuff like that. Um, yeah. So that was what this article was complaining about, and how it's confusing for beginners because it's kind of a lot of files. It's really a lot of files. Um, yeah, like even though it comes with nothing, even your database files are like pretty much a lot. So you have like lots of folders, lots of files, and it's just an application that says hello world. It doesn't really do anything, but then it has all of these. So that was kind of annoying. Um, yeah. So a lot of people say it's a skill issue, but yeah, I think it's a design issue because if someone is new to the framework, the person obviously does have a skill issue, because he actually doesn't know anything about your framework, so he has to learn everything, and then just sort of dumping that whole thing on someone to learn it's a lot. It's really a lot. Yeah. So once again, this was the current Leaf MVC structure. So that's what you get when you install Leaf MVC. But then, um, long story short, this article was proposing a new structure for Leaf MVC, which is basically just the vendor folder. We can't really do anything about that because it's from Composer, and then the public is necessary. We can't remove that. And then the application inside app, we would have only controllers, database. There was a question as to whether to delete all of these because a lot of applications don't really use them. Seeds, factories. Seeds, you can make an argument that they are quite used, but factories, yeah, migrations are normally used. Schema was uh, our own thing we added. It's not been a big success. Um, it can save you sometimes, but it's not really been as good as we hoped it would be. So right now that's just like wasted space. Um, but yeah, back to this, we have models, routes, and views. So these were things we're convinced that everybody would use in every application. I think last week I talked about the opt-in versus opt-out thing. Um, yeah. So instead of opting out of features like what Laravel gives you, or what even the current version of League MVC gives you, they wanted you to rather opt into stuff. So you have this, and if you want authentication, you opt into it, just like what you do with regular League. Um, yeah. So that would make things a lot easier for especially beginners. But then even those of us used to all of these, I mean, or like all of this chaos, will still be happier because we have less folders and less files that we don't use. So um, yeah, so that was pretty much this article, and that's why I started working on this week. Um, Yeah. So in my structure, I've kind of already deleted stuff. So I think maybe I'll just generate a fresh Leaf MVC project and I can't find my console. No, I didn't maybe either. Okay, never mind. Yikes. Okay, okay. So Leaf create um what do you think call this? Like MVC. I think I already have an MVC test. Um console test, maybe. Dash MVC and that would take like a second or two to install. Okay. Okay, that took longer than a second or two. Yeah, so unfortunately we have a lot of symphony stuff in here. Um, yeah. So maybe part of this refactor would be cutting down on all of these. I mean, right now they are not really much of performance. They don't really hurt performance that much, but removing them and installing them on demand will definitely um boost performance. Okay. So what do we call a console test? Console test. Okay. I'll open this up in VS Code as usual. Okay. VS Code always has updates. Okay. So this is what we get for a fresh Leaf MVC installation. Um, yeah, for some people this might be just fine. But for me, yeah, I did find this annoying. I actually really found this annoying. So yeah. So I think I'm not really sure, but I think I've actually released a new version of MVC4. I hope I have. If I haven't, then I would probably just need to use the dev version. 19 hours ago, 5 days. Okay, so I think I need to use the dev version. Um, so I will. What's actually the dev version? Is it main? Okay, this is main, and then what of allo? Allo is also main. Okay. Wait, no v2.x. Okay. Um, so we can leave install MVC core at dev main. Yeah, at dev main, and then allo at what was it? Dev v2.x, I think. Okay, so let's just make sure this installs correctly. Yeah. Okay, what's the problem now? Okay, so MVC core installed, but allo is not installing. What's the problem here? Requires allo dev 2.x. Found allo. You know what? Let me just get rid of composer.log and vendor, and then probably just edit composer.json directly. Okay, so where's allo? Allo should be dev v2.x, and then we can leave install. Okay, hopefully this works, and then we can. Uh, there's not much to constraint. Wait, is there no version? Oh wait, it's v2.x dev. Oh, not dev v. Interesting. Why is that? Okay. Yeah. So now we are back to finishing up this installation. Good. Okay. Okay. Nice. Okay. So we are going to make one more little change here. Um, yeah. So the next version of Leaf MVC will have this out of the box, but um, since I'm using the current version, I need to do this by myself. So leave and then just replace everything in this file with load console, and that's all. Okay, so yeah, currently this is what we have. We have pretty much a mess of folders, a mess of files inside those folders, and all of those. But let's say we are building a blog, right? What exactly do we need for a blog? Um, or what don't we need for a blog? We don't need console, 100%. We don't. Um, Before I delete this folder, I'm going to get rid of this. And good news, good news. Everything in the console directory is now kind of auto-loaded by leaf, php leaf, and you would see example in here. PHP leaf g command. I think this might fail because I've not edited the file to stop trying to automatically add a command. Um, okay, it worked anyway. Wait, oh, I probably have done that. Yeah. So now anything in here is automatically loaded. So I can PHP leaf test, and yeah, I have to test something. And there we go. So yeah, once it's in the console directory, it's automatically loaded. This will be version 3.8 of Leaf MVC. So this is not available in the current version. So, that's just a heads up. Anyway, I already updated the documentation. So if you look inside the documentation, there's like a version 3.8 above, 3.7 below. So yeah. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this. I might or might not need helpers. I'm going to delete it anyway. Okay, so now I have controllers, database, factories, blah 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 blah. For now we're keeping this whole thing, unfortunately. But yeah, there's been only so much. There's only so much you can do for now. Let's see, controllers, database, models, routes, views. Yeah. So these are what we need. Okay. Um, since I started using Leaf MVC, there have been very, very few situations where I've actually needed to edit any file here because it's usually configured for most applications, not all, of course. There are situations where you need to actually edit some stuff, especially with auth or maybe core CSRF. Um, but by default, core allows everything, CSRF allows everything, kind of. Um, yeah, anyway, so there are a few situations where you actually need to change anything. But if you're not changing anything, then it doesn't really make sense to have these files right there, like just staring at you. So if you're not going to change anything, you can so delete the whole folder and leave or just use the default configuration. If there's a particular file you want to edit, like maybe if I want to keep view because I made some changes, I can delete everything else and keep only view. So the rest of the config will use the default configuration, and then the only one I edited here, which was view, can stay. So if I try to run something here, hopefully it doesn't break, and it did not break. Cool. So let's actually run this application. PHP leaf serve. Okay. And yes, this still works. That's so bright. That's really so bright. Okay. Okay. Um, let's see. So yeah, that still works as we just saw. Lib is usually not used, so we can get rid of lib. And even further, if you're building like an API or something that doesn't use any of these, like you don't have some file database. Over here you have your framework views, so Blade will compile down here. But if you're using something like Bear UI, there's no compile step with Bear UI, and then you don't have any logs. You can actually get rid of this whole folder, right? So then that will mean your application is now up, configure one file. Of course, if you are using all the default config, you can get rid of this folder entirely, and the application should still work just fine. Um, Yeah, so that would mean your application is just up, public, and then storage keeps coming back because I'm using Blade, so it would compile this view into storage framework. But if I'm using Bare UI once again, if yeah, this would pretty much be my whole application. Down here, unfortunately, we have things like V, and if you're using Tailwind, you'd have Tailwind config, OCSS config. Um, I wish there was something I could do about that. I was thinking of maybe using Alchemy to, I don't know, kind of like house this configuration or something like that. But yeah, there's no telling what you'd want to do, especially with something like V. V can do a lot of things. There are like so many different plugins you can have with V. So I haven't really thought of any really good way to allow you configure V within the context of what I'm thinking about. So yeah, this will have to hold on for now. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do about this. If you're serving application from public, you can get rid of this because probably has no use here. Um, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, we can't do anything about these files. Editor config really depends on you. If you want to keep it, you can. Um, so yeah, you can get rid of that if you want to. Yeah, I think right. If you're not saving from the root, you can also get rid of this, and hopefully it should still work the same. Yep, still works. So yeah. So this is pretty much how lean you can get Leap MVC if you actually want to. So yeah, now it's actually possible to do all of this. And yeah, I think far less files means beginners having a much easier time, which is what I want. That's like the whole point of doing this. Um, and then I also have an easier time because there are so few files to actually look at, and yeah, that's like the biggest thing I'm happy about. So I'm really happy about being able to get rid of everything I don't need. Yeah, I haven't added anything to get rid of the database in case you don't need it. Maybe I should think about that because wait, is there ever a situation where you build a Leaf MVC application without a database? It's possible for like just base Leaf or with Leaf MVC. Why would you do that? So I don't think it's actually a good idea to allow people to get rid of this. But once again, yeah, I mentioned factories are not always needed. Schema definitely not always needed. Seeds too. They only needed when you want to seed your database, pretty much. But if you don't have to, then all you'll be working with are migrations. So it might also be pretty nice to be able to get rid of these, although you can't do that right now. This will probably break. Huh? Why is it still working? Actually, that's not supposed to work. That's not supposed to work. So I don't know why that. Okay, wait, no, that's actually supposed to work. What's not supposed to work is the console. So if I try PHP Leaf right now, it's okay. Right. Um, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it looks like you actually can't get rid of them. So yeah, you are free to do so if you want to. I really have no idea why that's working. It's really not supposed to work, but yeah, I guess it is what it is. Um, wait, does that mean I can actually delete this? Or this is like pushing my luck? Okay, so I can delete it. But yeah, once again, why would you do that? Because if you delete database, you are probably also deleting models. Um, or maybe you have like um an SQL file you're importing directly into some database somewhere. In that case, yeah, it doesn't make sense to delete that. Anyway, yeah, point is, it's possible now. You can actually strip out anything you don't need, database included for some reason. I didn't build that recently, so probably means you could always do that. Okay. I don't know what happened there. Um, okay. Let's see. Are we still good? Um, okay, let me check. Okay. Um, okay. Okay. Anyway, so wait, is this actually working? Sorry. Okay, I think it is still working. Okay. Um, yeah. So back to what I was saying, you can actually really do all of this. You can get rid of anything you actually don't need. So yeah, that's that's really cool. Um, and yeah, that's what I've pretty much been working on for Leaf MVC all week. Um, in probably 2 weeks, when is the year ending? Quite a while. We're in the first week of December, so yeah, probably before the end of the year, there would be like a really big surprise in terms of like database stuff for Leaf MVC. Um, yeah, the goal is still to make things a lot easier for everyone, beginners, experienced devs, people coming from the Laravel side too, because I've seen a lot of folks used to like the Laravel way of doing things. So yeah, fortunately, unfortunately, Leaf MVC is kind of going to turn away from a lot of Laravel things. Um, Yeah, we've done a lot of Laravel things, including our directory structure. I think migrations are, oh, which I just deleted. I actually deleted them, by the way. Yeah, so migrations. Um, I think I actually kind of wrote a migration engine from scratch, or probably not from scratch. I don't really remember. But then I wrote migrations and seeds from the ground up. They are still kind of using some Laravel things. I don't remember which things exactly. Anyway, point is, yeah, we are still using a lot of Laravel inspired things. Yeah, which we are going to turn away from. So yeah, I was sort of thinking of like a better way of doing migrations using seeds, like database seeds, factories, and all of those. Um, I'm not going to put out any spoilers yet because yeah, I want this to be a surprise. But yeah, I'm pretty much thinking along those lines. We've already gotten a much more customizable um, application structure. So next thing to do is ridiculously cut down the number of files. I think that's what we're looking at next. And the database files, you can have yeah, I don't know why I actually deleted this. Let me just open this up here. Hope I didn't delete these ones. Yeah, okay. So let's use this example. So I'm going to use migrations, factories, and feeds. So you can have a migration here for create users table, and then a user factory that generates fake users, which you use inside your seeds, user seeder. So that's like three different files for one database table. And that's, I mean, yeah, it's fine in terms of like separation of concerns and all of that, but then that seems like way too much. Um, yeah, that's a lot. And then seeders and factories are pretty much doing the same thing because you can seed data like this, or you can see data from a factory like this. Yeah, I kind of get you can use factories in your actual application, but either way, this is still a lot. And then this grows when you have, for instance, a migration to update a column in your database table. So you can have like five, six, seven files for one database table. Yeah. So those are some of the things we're looking to change. Yeah, we've already done, or we are still doing the file structure. So that was like the first thing to tackle, and I'm quite happy with the results. I don't know if you guys, but I'm actually really happy about this. Just being able to get rid of all of the clutter. But yeah, the database stuff is next. I'm really thinking of a way to get rid of like that whole problem because that's another thing about Leaf MVC I'm not comfortable with. So yeah, we're kind of moving away from um yeah the Laravel and Ruby on Rails way of doing things and more being more Leaf like. Because yeah, the whole point of Leaf is being light, fast, and um really light actually. And this does not look light. This looks like way too cluttered. So yeah. Oh, by the way, I didn't show you this. You can, if you for some reason decide you want your config back, you can PHP leave config publish, and then you have all of your configuration back. So if you mistakenly deleted that, or you feel later on you might need to change something, you can just pull this back, change what you need, delete the rest. Yeah, pretty much. So you can do that, and there's also another one for I think libraries. So PHP leaf config lib. Yeah. So this will create a lib folder for you, and then it will set up leaf MVC to auto load anything you put inside it. So yeah. So you can pretty much get everything you delete back. I've not done that for helpers and commands, but for commands you can pretty much PHP leave G command test and you have your console folder back. So yeah, in a sense you can. I think that was a way to helpers. I don't know if I think helpers might throw an error. PHP leave G helpers. Yeah, that will throw an error. But yeah, by the time the stable version of this comes out, you pretty much be able to get everything you delete. So you can delete everything without having to worry about missing your files and all of that stuff. So yeah, thanks. Yeah, the screen was frozen. That's why I got rid of it. Um, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know if there was like a power surge or something, but everything kind of went off. I have no idea. Um, yeah, so sorry about you not being able to see me anymore. Okay. Um, yeah, so I guess that's Leaf MVC. Those are the changes I've been up to with Leaf MVC. Pretty much just clearing the clutter. There's still more to do, as you saw, like with the helpers command. Right now, if you delete the database folder, you can't get it back, unfortunately. So I think that's another thing I would have to work on. But then the database folder wasn't actually meant for you to be able to delete it. So, um, yeah, there's that. There's that. Controllers, models, and views. So if you're using Leaf API, you probably also wouldn't need a views folder, and you can delete that because everything will be controllers, models, no views, hopefully. But then if you need a views back, you can just add a views folder. So, um, yeah. So that's that's everything on clearing the clutter for now. There's still more to come. Hopefully I can make Leaf MVC as light as Leaf itself. Um, yeah. Okay, so a few more things were um yeah, like very annoying internal stuff. CSRF. This is kind of funny and annoying because I've been fixing CSRF for months, and CSRF still always finds a way to pop out a new issue. It's really crazy. Um, so I think the most recent one, I don't know where this was reported, but um, yeah, CSRF and auth are fighting within your Leaf application, and it's so interesting. It's actually a very interesting problem because both CSRF and auth with sessions use um, PHP sessions. So they kind of like set different things. So you can kind of configure your auth cookies, but then that's overridden by um, CSRF's session cookies. So it's a very it's a very funny situation. But then yeah, it's probably going to be a simple fix. But yeah, it's just kind of funny and annoying that CSRF keeps on popping up new issues. Wait, my screen is still frozen. Oh damn. Wait. I thought the view was the only thing frozen. Yikes. Okay, that's a problem. Um, I don't know if that's is it still frozen? Let me see. Um, Wait, let me know if it's no longer frozen. Yeah, okay. Looks like it's no longer frozen. Oh, okay. Thank you. I thought it was just the view that was frozen. That's why I turned the camera off. I didn't know the actual screen was frozen. Yikes. Okay, so going back, um, I wonder where it actually got frozen. Anyway, so the point was you could delete all of pretty much anything you see as unimportant in Leaf MVC and probably be able to get them back. So this was a fresh Leaf MVC application I generated. I think that was on before it got frozen anyway. But yeah, you can pretty much strip Leaf MVC down to this. So you have an app folder, public, and then vendor. Unfortunately, these files are quite necessary. Um, yeah, so you can get this low on files and folders and all of those. And I actually deleted a database folder, and the application still works for some weird reason. I didn't think it would work, but yeah, it still works really well. Um, yeah, so next I mentioned you can get anything you deleted back. For instance, the config folder. You can PHP leave, um, config, publish, and then it regenerates all of the deleted config. And then you can edit what you need and delete the rest. That will still work. You can PHP leave um, config lib, and then that will generate your library stuff for you. So in case you have external libraries you want to use, you can just pop them in here, and then they'll all be automatically loaded by leaf. So yeah, you can pretty much get everything back, including your commands too. Because once you generate a command, PHP leave g test, g command test, it will regenerate your console folder for you, and everything in here is automatically loaded. So um, yeah, I can PHP leave test something, and that would work. So yeah. I don't know if you got this, but that was what I was showing up here. Um, okay, so this was a lot of my week, and then generating the documentation should be done deploying by now. Um, so things like writing commands. Wait, it doesn't look like. Yeah, actually doesn't look like it deployed. Maybe there were there errors. Let me check this out. Okay. Huh, that's weird. Okay, I would probably check that out after the stream, but I can show you my local right now. Yeah, so I had to redo some of the documentation for things like that. Okay, this is weird. Um, which pages even had stuff like that? Maybe custom libraries. Yeah, so we have like new warnings on things you have to do, older versions of Leaf MVC, which is by older, this actually means current since the new Leaf MVC version hasn't yet been released. Um, but yeah, the documentation for custom libraries has also been updated. Um, pretty much everything here, pretty much everything on the Leaf MVC has been updated. I don't know why it looks like some of the documentation might be not here. Weird. Um, yeah. Anyway, so you have like new notes, updated stuff, updated um warnings and all of that. Inertia, tailwind, V, all of those have been updated. Um, so there were some inconsistencies, and then now you have things like this, so you can select whether you're using Blade or you're using Bear UI. Just minor improvements. Um, this has also been updated. I don't remember why it changed, but it's also been updated. Yeah, so Leaf Blade, you have better documentation for Leaf MVC. So pretty much my whole my whole week was about Leaf MVC. There were some issues here to which have been fixed. Um, and then yeah, I started writing some notes about directives and stuff, but those will be published um in the coming week, I believe. Okay. Yeah, so that was pretty much it. Updates. I think Port also got some updates, if I am right. Um, yeah. So I updated the documentation for this. Okay, so create was over here. Updates. So this is the model stuff. That was also updated. I think the query builder was also updated. Counting results wasn't part of that, but it's been added. I don't know, was anything here updated? I don't think so. But request, response, they were both updated. There's still a little bit more I need to do for requests because I added a new feature just today. Um, yeah, but that hasn't been implemented. Oh, actually, this is yeah, I'll have to check this out. It's actually supposed to be like an actual error, not this. So I'll have to check that out. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much it. Um, with Leave MVC, you get better documentation now. I pretty much spent the whole week making sure that the documentation matched what you actually see with Leaf MVC. So that's another good thing. Okay, so Allo had some internal stuff. I've already mentioned the CSR effects, but then there's another one to do. Um, oh, that's all right. Okay. Um, let's see. Let's see what else. MVC core, still part of Leaf MVC. Screencast was actually published. So I added some. I don't remember. I published it to fly.io. Um, let's see. There should be like a dot fly or something like that. Oh, okay. Then that was probably only locally. Um, I don't remember the URL for it because I was supposed to make it screencast only php.dev, but I haven't set up the domain for that. Um, so yeah, I think it would be leave PHP screencast of fly.io or something like that. Or fly.app. Oh yeah. Yep. Okay, I think this might be my network or the process was sleeping. Yeah, the process was probably sleeping and it has to wake up. And now my CSS is gone. What's going on? Okay. That's weird. I don't know. I don't remember pushing anything new that could break this. Um, Signing with GitHub probably wouldn't work. Yeah. Yeah. So I just need to set up the GitHub or stuff. Wait, what's going on here? Yeah, I have to work on the deployment. Something really went wrong there. So um we can expect this screencast this week. Bear UI had updates. Um there was something about leave view which wasn't updated. So that also got updated this week. Um I am actually thinking of building something with Bear UI from scratch because people are having issues with React and Vue, which is surprising because even in screencast I used React. So maybe it's because it's Blade, so I'm not really having any issues. So I want to do this whole thing with Bear UI again just to see what kind of issues people are running into. Because you can see inertia setup here with the SSR and all of that stuff. And then in components, no, not components, in pages, I think. Wait, where do you even find? Sorry, that's JS pages there. You can see the React components here, and I can use them correctly. So it's always kind of a surprise when I get reports about um, React and Vue and all of that. Okay. Um, Bear UI Alchemy always has silent updates. No real changes. Probably something new I needed at the moment or something like that. Let's see. Update version. Uh, Nothing really. Add option to ignore links and tests. Yeah. So by default, in your Alchemy config, which looks like this, um, this lint always applies to any directories you add here plus your test directory. So this new option would allow you ignore the test. So in case your tests are, I don't know, in my case, I didn't have tests or something like that. So I added the option to ignore the test and that was it. So just a minor update, nothing interesting on Alchemy. Um, I wonder if anyone has run into any issues using the new version of Alchemy. Um, that would be good to know. That would be good to hear because I would really like some feedback on how people are using Alchemy. Um, Leaf CLI minor updates, I guess. Clean install command. I don't remember what that was about. Oh right, I just yeah, that was just a chore. Nothing. Dev option. What was this about? Oh right, to install dev dependencies. I think this has already been published. So yeah, nothing really new in Leaf CLI. But there's a problem with Leaf CLI. It doesn't support newer versions of the Symfony console. So we support version 5, version 6, but then not version 7. So everyone who has another Symfony application or something installed globally can't use Leaf CLI. So I am planning on a V3 or Leaf CLI, and that will be PHP 8 only because Symfony console version 7 is PHP only, PHP 8 only. Um, so yeah, this will affect only Leaf CLI for now, but then later on, all of Leaf will start moving to PHP 8. There was already an RFC for this, and everyone seems to agree. So I'm just going to go right ahead with that. Um, yeah, minor updates. As I mentioned, it was just like minor updates, fixing a lot of minor bugs, inconveniences, stuff like that. So nothing of any real importance actually happened. Um, yeah. So that's those are pretty much all of the updates that were made to Leaf this week. Um, the biggest probably Leaf MVC. Um, yeah, but it's not yet stable. You can try it just like I did here, like install this and then install the dev versions of the Leaf install. What was it? It was MVC core at dev main, and then you install allo at v2.x dev. So if you want to try out the new Leaf MVC, that's pretty much it. Okay. Um. Okay. Oh. Okay. Okay. Kind of missed this. Okay. So that's it. That's it. These were last week. I believe I talked about them last week during the stream. Um. Yeah. I guess that's pretty much it. Um. This week is. I mean, the coming week is less packed. So there would finally be time to work on our dear old permissions and all of that stuff. Um, yeah. So new Leaf MVC version next week, and then authentication, um, and then our CSRF fix. So yeah, I think those are the major things for next week. But who knows what will pop up? Once again, Leaf has started getting a lot more users, and that kind of means a lot more issues because Leaf is built to be used any way you want to. Um, so yeah, you can do some pretty interesting combinations of Leaf modules and other external libraries. So that pretty much means more issues with more users. But it's been pretty good because there've been no real issues that actually break stuff. So yeah, that's good news, I guess. Um, yeah. Are there any questions? Yeah. I think there's a third week. I think there's a third week for this particular comment. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah. So, I don't know if there are any questions. I don't see any here on Discord. So I'm going to end the stream here. Um, yeah. So yeah, as I mentioned, next week we have a new Leaf MVC version, which is partially done. That's kind of why I demoed. Um, let's see, the CSRF fix, and then our roles and permissions. Yeah, so next week doesn't look so packed. Thanks a lot, Terry. Um, and thanks for the new contributions. We actually had a bunch of new contributions. I don't know if you guys saw them on the releases page on Discord. We had a bunch of new contributors, and um, Patrick and Rome is not a new contributor, but yeah, we had some um, releases that I wasn't part of, which is always good news because that's like good news for the community, I guess. But yeah, I'm just going to end it here. Yeah, Ghana is voting tomorrow, so it's pretty noisy in town. Um, yeah, hope you guys just enjoy your weekend and keep hating Mondays, I guess. All right. Catch you guys next week.